Hi. Okay, so I've had a few of you ask me why I don't like Titanic. They're like, how could you're big into Edwardian and all of that, how could you not like Titanic? Okay. First of all, I appreciate James Cameron and what he did. When that film came out, it's one of those films, trying to word this correctly. There's always a film that has to be made. If that makes sense. Like, Forrest Gump was one of those films. You don't have to believe me, but it was one of those films that had to be made. There was just something about it that we all latched onto it. This young man who has special ability, he was like a special needs, and he accomplished so much. Needed to be made. It seems like the year before and the year before that, there was Apollo 13 and Jurassic Park, because there was just that boom, boom, boom. And now Apollo 13 was very popular. And, of course, Jurassic Park, which you can say all you want about Jurassic World, it's just Jurassic Park remade. I don't care what you say. Big fat hairy deal, it just has someone else in it. I like, I don't know. Anyway. Get over it. That's what it is. But you always have those movies that you look back on it and it's like, it had to be made. There's just no doubt about it. You have all these other movies. Did the Tinkerbell movie have to be made? I mean, yeah, you have do Barbie movies really need to be made? Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one. Yeah. So, anyway, Titanic was one of those movies that needed to be made. And the way that he did it was well done. In the fact that, because let me tell you something, all those camera angles and everything, it got repetitive after a while. Now, if you've never seen every photo because I did an essay on Father Brown, who did the pictures for Titanic, and he's the only one that ever did a photo of the Marconi room. In fact, he was on the ship, and then at the last stop, I think it was Southampton, before it actually went out to sea, he got a message from his superior and said, get off the ship. So he didn't go down with the ship. Or he wasn't on it when it wrecked. So, in fact, when they found out what happened, he let them use his photos for the newspaper articles that were in the newspaper. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that all those pictures that have all those that have all the angles of the ship, James Cameron used. And I do feel like the sinking, we all know how long it took for the ship to sink, but I kind of feel like he dragged that a little bit. And but there's gonna be people that don't like what you like. I mean, I have friends who don't like Lord of the Rings. I give them a hard time for it. I have a friend who absolutely loves Titanic, and she gives me a hard time for it. For the same reason that you guys are like, well, you like Edwardian. How come you don't like this? There's a Disney movie that's called, and I've made videos for it, that's The Happiest Millionaire. It's got Fred McMurray, John Davison, not Glennis Johns, I'm sorry, Greer Garson, and Gladys Cooper. And it's set in Edwardian. I absolutely love it. But anyway, but one of the things that I was remembering was it wasn't long after I graduated high school, and there was this picture that came up. And so there were these, the internet was showing this picture and claiming that this was a Titanic survivor, so it was from 1912, and this kid was named Jack, and he looked like Leonardo DiCaprio. It turned out later that it was just a Photoshop job. And and it makes me laugh now because I've seen some comments of people, and you guys are so insistent that Jack and Rose really did exist, that there was this Jack on the ship, but it was already confirmed a long time ago that there was no Jack. And that's why in the movie he says there was no Jack. Because he was, yeah, there was no Jack. That was, it was just two fictional characters to make a romance for this movie. I remember another thing that made, when I was in high school, one of the things that just devastated all the girls who were so in love with Leonardo DiCaprio, it came out that the scene where he's drawing Kate Winslet and everything, it came out that that was James Cameron that he was drawing. And all the girls, there was one girl that was crying in class. Oh, my life is such a lie. And the teacher was like, oh, you're gonna have to get over it. Life is full of lies. There was no sympathy for these girls. Oh, yeah, he was doing an interview and they were asking him about little things that were in the movie. And he dropped that bombshell, and the interviewer was like, it wasn't Leo that was. So then it was like all of a sudden they had to keep bombarding Leo with questions about it. And I mean, it was like this huge thing that really wasn't that big of a deal. Oh, that was funny. But no, I don't hate the movie. It's just one of those things. I saw it once. I know what happens. I know the events. I don't need to see it again. And there's just so many things that I appreciate that he did. In Night to Remember, and I really wish that you guys would watch it because he is so heavily influenced by Night to Remember. He used different. I saw a YouTube video where someone showed the comparison of James Cameron and the Night to Remember, of the quote being used, and of course James Cameron said something to the effect, when he got the award, he said something to the effect of, "This is for a night to remember," something to that effect. But he was heavily influenced, and even I saw that when I saw the film, and in '97. But and that one was released in the 50s. But the thing is that there aren't a lot of pieces of the survivor stories. You see a few, but not a lot. And so, and so, because by that point, let's see, because it was only 40 years after the fact. So, but yeah, this was the other reason I say that this is a movie that had to be made. And I know that he had been working on it since like 95, something like that. Because I watched the documentary that he did after the movie was released. I think it was like in 2003 or something like that, where he got to go down and actually see Titanic. But, and they were showing some of the video simulations and stuff from 95. But anyway, one of the other reasons why I say that this movie had to be released, there were a lot of mini-series that were being released and TV movies and that sort of thing by the time I was in high school. 10th Kingdom was one of them. There's Merlin and that I talked about, and saw the other day they actually put Leprechauns out. Leprechauns was awful. And no, not the movie Leprechaun. No, they did a mini series that was called Leprechauns, and yeah, this guy is in Ireland and he falls in love, and he's, anyway, it was a terrible story. There was another mini series that was about Joan of Arc, but anyway, there was a mini series that was about Titanic, and it was released in '96. Had Tim Curry and Catherine Zeta-Jones. I'm going to tell you this. If you are a huge Titanic fan, don't watch it. I watched it when the series was going. I didn't get through it. I watched maybe 2 episodes. And I was like, I'm done. It was so awful. And that's even from a Tim Curry fan. I will watch anything he's in. And I couldn't do it. It was so bad. And so, I mean, if you follow Clive Cussler books, there's one of his books that's called Raise the Titanic, and which was kind of predicting what they were going to do anyway. Because when I was in high school, after the movie was released, they talked about raising a part of the Titanic. Well, in the book, they talk about raising the entire thing. In the movie, which is like in 1980, it's more of a comedy than anything else. It's really bad. It's got Sir Alec Guinness in it. But it's... for as bad as that movie is, I would watch that 3 times before I would ever watch that miniseries. So that's telling you a lot. So, after having something that's that much of a gag fest, we needed his movie. That miniseries should never have been made. So, anyway, and what I also appreciate is not only that he used Father Brown, the angles got a little over the top, and he did take a little bit longer on the sinking part. We get it, it's sinking. This is Titanic. It's kind of like going to a movie that's, well, going to Gladiator, and why are we at the Coliseum? Why is there a Coliseum? I don't get it. Why are there gladiators? I don't understand. Do you understand what movie you're at? But anyway, just making a point, don't hurt me. But I also appreciated that there were more emphasis on the survivor stories. Now, I was 3 years old when Titanic was found. And of course, there was an explosion of the books and that sort of thing. Of course, National Geographic, they came out with all of these, of course, PBS. There were a whole bunch of survivor stories that all of a sudden came out because Titanic was found. I know that there's one that is out that starts with a seance, and everybody's like, nope, you stop me with that. We have to understand that at that time, at the Edwardian Victorian era, that was an everyday thing. That was just, that was just something that they did. And, so, I mean, I'm not saying that, yeah, you have to watch it now because, you have to be respectful of them. No, that's not what I'm saying. Because there's that one, oh, I wish I could remember which survivor it was, but she always starts out her story with, my mother had a premonition. And I'm pretty sure that's the one that has the seance. So, but anyway, yeah, because Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was big into that kind of stuff too. So anyway, no, I don't hate Titanic. There was just a lot of things that, like I said, I saw the movie once. I know the events. I don't need to see it again. Kind of like going to a movie about Pompeii. You know what's going to happen. You want to see it because you want to see how the guy that plays Jon Snow, I know he did a movie about that. And, so you want to see the version at least and see what it's like. But after that, you're pretty much done. At least to me, that's my way of thinking, so. But yeah, big warning, do not look for that miniseries. It was so horrible. I mean, how could you do that? I mean, it was almost like it was just a slap bang job. And they didn't watch it before putting it out. And after 2 episodes, I'm like, I'm not watching this ever again. No more. And I am like this huge Tim Curry fan. I will watch anything he's in. And he's in that. And I will never watch that. So that's saying a lot. It's just so bad. So yeah, his film had to be made. Mainly for that reason. But I think what's heartbreaking, and this is just an opinion of mine, is there are a lot of people who base their facts on that movie. He was inspired by a lot of the history. But it's a Hollywood thing. It came out of Hollywood. That doesn't mean that it's all accurate. So, and I'm sure a lot of you are gonna post and be like, we know. But I'm just going by a lot of because it seems like every documentary that I watch, there's a lot of you that have to say the Jack and Rose thing, and it's like, no. There were no Jack and Rose on the ship. It's been proven. So, I mean, he said so back then, and especially after that so-called photo. Kind of makes me laugh just remembering it. Yeah, somebody photoshopped what's his name? What's his name's face? Leo DiCaprio's face. That's so funny. And said that it was a. I mean, it was like all of this information was on one photo, and it's like people aren't fitting the pieces together. Oh. But anyway, so no, I don't hate the movie. I appreciate a lot of what he did because, again, when that '96 miniseries happened, we don't talk about it, even though I just did. But yeah, don't waste your time with that one. The Raise the Titanic, you get a good laugh out of it. And to be honest, because when I was in high school, it was a year after the movie came out, after James Cameron's movie came out. I remember sitting in history class and we were talking about how the news started talking about raising part of the Titanic because everyone was, you know how we always talk about when Howard Carter found um, King Tut's tomb and there was this Egyptian revival and everything. Well, after the movie was released, the Titanic movie it was like a Titanic revival. I'm not kidding. Oh my gosh, it was insane. So then all of a sudden the news decided, all of these people were all of a sudden deciding that they wanted to raise up a part of the Titanic. And there were other people that were saying, no, don't do it. So it was like on hold for a while. I don't remember when they did that. I never remember when they did that. But so when you watch Raise the Titanic, or if you've ever read the book, yeah, it kind of predicts what's going to happen. But in the book and everything, it's about the whole Titanic, not just a piece of it. So, but still, it is kind of. I don't remember if Clive Cussler ever said anything about that. He found the Carpathia and he's been down to the Titanic, I think, a couple of times, and he's tried to find a couple other ships, so that's kind of cool. I wish they'd do more of his movies because they did Sahara, and Matthew McConaughey was a good choice for Dirk Pitt. Anyway, I went off track, but so if you've never seen the documentary that James Cameron did for Titanic, I highly recommend you do. There was one that I saw, the actor that played John Smith, he did one too that was for Titanic. So, if I ever find it, I'll put it in the description here. I watch so many documentaries, it's not even funny. I'll watch the ancient civilizations, and then I go to like the gangster stuff, and then I watch Titanic and like the ocean liner stuff, and then I go into some weird thing and but it's noise for when I'm working. But anyway, I hope that you get a better understanding of where I'm at with Titanic. I saw it once, and I know the events. I have tons of books on Titanic. But yeah, no, I don't hate it. I appreciate his movie actually, and don't appreciate that miniseries so much. But avoid it like the plague. Please do. And but yeah, I hope this answers your question and gives them a little more of an idea of where I'm at with Titanic. I mean, I make some jokes. I have friends who love it, who absolutely love Titanic. And, we poke fun at each other. Like, I have one friend that I told her that, oh yeah, it has all these camera angles and everything. It just goes all over the place with the camera angles. And she says, yeah, well, they do that in Lord of the Rings too, don't they? Touche. So So yeah, we poke fun at each other all the time. Um, but no, I don't hate the movie. I absolutely do not. I appreciate the movie and what it did for the history of Titanic.